Welcome to the Courage and Cannabis Show, where we bring you insightful conversations with the authors of the #1 best-selling books in Courage and Cannabis. I'm your host, Candy Flores, and today we're diving into the pages of Courage and Cannabis Volume 2 with one of our authors with the Trailblazing chapter, Willie J.R. Fleming. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for joining us. Before we embark on this literary journey, a quick shout out to our sponsors of the book series who help make this podcast possible. Compass Naturals, Endovive Cannabis Centers, Spender, The Canamom Show, Blev 614 Network, Cannabis BPO, Columbus Botanical Depot, Daga Digital Marketing, Hempbox, etc., Ohio Medical Marijuana Physicians Association, DustinCava.com Web Development. Remember, the Courage and Cannabis book series is a project of the Growth, Harmony, and Happiness Community Foundation, 501c3 nonprofit. You can learn more about each or these on Courage and Cannabis. Now, let's get started. Your chapter, Trailblazing, delves into. Tell us about your chapter, Willie, JR.
Well, Jr. Please, thank you. Well, my chapter pretty much covers like those who help trailblaze a path, a way, an opportunity for social equity folks in the cannabis space as owners, not just as consumers or patients, but as owners of corporation. I helped to create some of the laws in Illinois that produced over 165 licenses for dispensary, 100 licenses for cultivation, 100 licenses for infusion for minorities and those impacted by the war on drugs. So a lot of my work started off as advocacy in cannabis, laying down a trail, a blazing trail, like how they say trailblazing, to make sure there was inclusion and equity in this
Uh-huh.
industry for those hit the hardest by the war on drugs. So a lot of my work started off as advocacy and later would lead to me becoming an owner of a cultivation, transportation, and fusion facility and part owner of a dispensary in the state of Illinois.
Wow, that's amazing. That's definitely a heck of a story. What inspired you to write about this topic?
I mean, a lot of the other writers from book one, a lot of other people, and then plus the title, Courage and Cannabis. Dr. Bridget was doing a
Mhm.
great job of networking, explaining how we had to share our story, like tell our stories about our roles in this industry. And coming from the activism world, I've always been a firm believer of telling our story, right? And even if it's
Mhm.
a big part or a small part. And so I just wanted to share with the world um, how I got into this industry, right? And how I had hope and
Mhm.
aspired to bring many more people in this industry. So I'm really blessed that I had the opportunity to contribute to Courage and Cannabis with other folks.
Yes, absolutely. What were some of the most surprising discoveries, insights you encountered during the writing process?
Ooh, putting things into context, shortening, trying to give a shortened version of long stories, right? um,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
you, you know, you know, having been someone that they wrote books on, I get it, right? I know how complex these books are. You know how you got to minimize a lot of things, you got to break a lot of things down, you got to shorten things, but you want to get to the point, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of work went into that for me. Just trying to be truthful, one, and encouraging too. Most
Mhm.
importantly, encouraging others to get in this industry. So anything that I offer anybody, whether it's the book or the world, is encouragement and inspiration that I can help them to become a licensed owner in this industry, right? And so that's what a lot of my focus was, right? Because a lot of folks told me I shouldn't believe that
Yes.
I could be an owner, that the odds were stacked against me, right? The odds of
Mhm.
you winning the license, it's a lottery. The money, amount of money and stuff you have to
Mhm.
spend to get in the industry. A lot of people didn't encourage me to be in this industry. Most of it was discouraging, right? It was an industry that was controlled by white
Right.
man, this, that, and the third. So, I was more or less like nothing beats a failure but a try. And if I can succeed, I believe anybody can
Hmm.
succeed. So that was a lot of my input about what could I do to contribute.
Very inspirational. Very inspirational, especially being in the minority. And definitely, I think people can relate. And I think it would definitely inspire many others that are wanting to step up into the business. See, how do you see courage in cannabis contributing to the broader conversation surrounding cannabis culture and its legislation?
Well, I think what's make courage and cannabis unique is one, the diversity of the authors, from the sparks
Hmm.
to the whole full blown authors, the contributors, right? The diversity of the stories from owners to patients to doctors to advocates. I think that type of collection is a power within itself. And I tell the people that because I'm someone who comes from the work around human rights. 21 years of work around human rights, right? I did a lot of work around Black Lives
Hmm.
Matter, Black rights, children rights, housing rights. But I always tell people my greatest work is around human rights. When we have the ability to
Hmm.
bring all of our issues together as a collective and present it as a collective, I think that is the strongest form. That's why I'm a big advocate of human rights. Same thing in cannabis, right? When a book like this
Hmm.
have the collection of stories, right, that people find hard often to share. When books like this have a collection of stories from a diverse group of folks, I think there's a great power in itself, right? And that
Yes,
power in this book
absolutely.
is almost equal to the work I've seen in human rights. A diverse group of folks,
Hmm.
different walks of life, all on the same path of participation in cannabis, all wanting the same input, whether in their own state or nationally, in the conversation
Right.
around cannabis. And I think this book spells it out perfectly by saying we have the courage to be a voice in cannabis,
That's right.
And here's a platform for
Yes,
that
definitely.
in the books one and two,
Yeah,
Courage in Cannabis.
that's right. Yes, I totally agree. I think that's great, great knowledge. And what things are you working on outside of the book at this time?
Wow, well, I'm on it. So I'm working to raise capital to stand up our craft grow. We're negotiating contracts for our transportation company right now. Working in partnership with some folks around branding. And that's just on
Nice,
the
nice.
building out the facility part. Doing a lot of work to get marijuana descheduled, cannabis descheduled on a federal level, and we had some news yesterday that's taking us in the step in the right direction. Working on safe banking provisions in addition and amendments that could help social equity licensees across the country be better marketable for banks and corporations to receive loans. So I've been doing a lot of work around cannabis advocacy locally and nationally. And in the state of Illinois, we're working on some things to create more revenue streams for social equity owners. So one of the programs we worked on, and I got to give a big shout out to our county commissioner, Lowry, and his chief of staff, Lamont, and our president of our county, who created our Cook County Cannabis Business Development Fund, $4 million to assist social equity license winners. So that's a new initiative we just got done by on the county level to help social equity license holders. So a lot of work around advocacy and creating either policies or opportunities that would
Hmm.
assist cannabis owners in this industry, particularly in Illinois.
Nice, nice. So you're in the what area are you in? I know you're in Illinois,
Chicago,
but
Chicago,
Chicago,
the Windy City,
the
Chicago.
Windy City.
I'm a native. I'm a native of Cabrini Green. I'm a native of Cabrini Green in Chicago. So the legendary Cabrini Green.
Okay, let's see where we're at. What message as we wrap up? Hold on, let's see if we have any questions. How is cannabis different than your other endeavors?
Well, cannabis is a new market. So I do a lot of work in advocacy, like I said, human rights work. I do a lot of development work in the country around affordable housing, low income housing.
Hmm.
Cannabis kind of unique because it's a new industry and we get to pave the way. We get to write the way. We get to create the way. We get to create the opportunity. Cannabis is a bit different in that sense, and
Mhm.
cannabis is very demanding. Look, I hear a lot of folks say this. A lot of authors encouraging cannabis, like we joke about it, right? Cannabis is like, and not to, no sexism intended, just a joke. And coming from some women, it's like a jealous girlfriend. She won't let you cheat on her. So I really have to compartmentalize my work and dedicate, when I say committed attention and hours towards cannabis, I really have to do it. And housing, I've been doing it 20 plus years. I can cheat. I can do this. I can do some things on a federal level that have local impact. So I can maneuver. In cannabis, there's no room for that. Cannabis demand all of your attention, right? Cannabis demand
Right.
all of your time, right? When raising capital, like, because it's such a new industry, it's different. It is unbelievably different, right? And I tell people, I can't cheat on cannabis, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm on cannabis time right now, and I don't cheat on cannabis. Cannabis will burn down your mama house. you know, it'll build a
That's
paradise.
right.
It can burn down your mama house, or it can build you a paradise. I chose the paradise with cannabis, right? It can
Yes,
provide
absolutely.
it can provide a lot of opportunities for us to become the philanthropic arms in our community. It can
That girlfriend will
become,
hunt you down.
yes, that girlfriend would. And it can also be the greatest joy in your life, right? And that's what
Yes.
I'm doing
Mhm.
with cannabis. It's turning into that greatest joy because it provides an avenue of resources and opportunity that can not only medicinally support and help the community physically,
Mhm.
medically, but financially help the community. So that's what I'm so happy about, is that the opportunities that come beyond cannabis.
Mhm. That's great information for our audience. See if we have any other questions on here. Let's see. Are you a user? Can
Yes,
medicinally?
yes. So I am
You
a
are
cannabis med. I'm a patient, a medical patient.
medical patient.
Um, I was one of the people who was how can you say, I was on opioids. I'm a former athlete, football player, basketball player.
Mhm.
Um, I took a lot of wear and tear on my body from boxing, wrestling, and other things of that nature. The pain in the knees, it was unbearable when it rained. The osteoarthritis and other conditions. Opioids was the thing, painkillers. And cannabis has
Right.
been that alternative. Even as an activist, the government appreciate the switch from the opioids and painkillers to the
Mhm.
cannabis. They say when I became a medical cannabis patient, I created more policy. They say when I was on the opioids and painkillers, it seemed to be more protest and direct action. So they appreciate the switching over from opioids to cannabis. They
Mhm.
can respect the shift from protest to policy.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. So you definitely see the benefits from being a former athlete.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
I'm glad. I'm glad. That's amazing. How's Chicago different from any other state, in your opinion?
We're the highest tax state in the country on cannabis.
Oh.
We have the highest taxes. We have a limited license market. We have a limited license market for licenses in Illinois. So which makes us a
Mhm.
great investment for investors, right? Um, we have a prioritizing of social equity participation as owners in this market, which I tip my hat off to
Mhm.
the state government and local government for creating that pathway to participation. I tell people in this industry, um, and biasly, here it goes. I think we grow the best marijuana up here, plain and simple, cannabis. I think Illinois has the best cannabis in the country. Yep, I said it. There it is. There it is. Start the war now.
What are the taxes there in Illinois?
Let me just say they're the biggest in the country. I don't want to go into detail. They're the biggest in the country.
Wow.
It can break. It grows
Wow.
from 30+%, almost 30% depending on local to state. Local folks have local municipalities have rules they can implement to increase taxes different than what a county can do in a suburb. So a lot
Mhm.
of municipalities have a say so in the local taxation of it too. So here we go. Like a soda can be one price downstate Illinois, it can be another price in Chicago. Same thing with cannabis, right? It's just the
Mhm.
taxation is off the roof, out the roof, which is hard on the medical patients. We don't like they might say,
Mhm.
okay, we're waiving the taxes on medical patients. Yeah, but the taxes have, you know what I'm saying, an impact on prices that the multi-state operators, when they create the product, have to take into account.
Mhm.
You know, so
Right.
it has an impact on the production. If they know they're going to be taxed at 30 plus percent, you know, that's going to have an impact on what
Mhm.
they sell it
Mhm.
for. Thus having an impact on
Right.
what you give it to the patient for, regardless if you're taxing the patient. There's a
Mhm.
pre-production
That makes
cost that's
sense.
being attributed based off the taxation. And so that's some things we're working on with the state right now and the MSO to say how can we further discount this product for
Yes.
patient with besides the 30 to 40% off. You know, I believe medical
Mhm.
patients should
Yeah,
get 50 to
absolutely.
60% off of cannabis. You know, I truly believe medical
Right.
patients should have 55 to 60% minimum off of
Right. And
cannabis.
yes. Yes, because I do see that where I see patients who have tried it and it helps them, but then they come back and they can't afford it. You speak to them and because they're on a lot of patients are on a budget. So yeah, I totally agree that would
And
help a
because
lot
of
of
that,
medical patients.
I want that to help. We need that to help because the
Yes.
multi-state operator was given a golden egg, right? And everybody said, "What do you mean? They had to build
Mhm.
up, put up the facility, do this, that, and the third." Jr. It's not fair. They had to build this out. Okay, but they were given their clientele and customer base from medical patients. They was only they can
Mhm.
sell to the medical patient, right? So they was given a
Right.
customer base. Let's look at the profitability they making just off the medical patient, and then say maybe every year, every other year,
Mhm.
every 3 years, we create a program that discounts this for medical patients because they've been making
Right.
record number profit every year. Pass off some
That's right.
record number discount to the patient. So that's where a lot of my new advocacy is going now. Is organizing with medical
Mhm.
patients like myself, selfishly. We created a medical
Right.
patient social club, a medical patient home grower club, where we can grow at home for each other and grow with each other's homes, right? So we create
Mhm.
these various
Mhm.
networks and clubs so that we can better take care of each other because the state allowed us to grow 5 plants. So how can I put seeds in the hand of a lot of medical patients who can grow? How can I put growers in
Right.
the space to show medical patients how to grow? So we got some things that I'm revealing today. You know what I'm saying? That some people wanted me to keep quiet, but I promised I was gonna give out some jewels today, and I'm encouraging people across the country to do that. Again,
I was about to
form
ask you
your
what are you doing in that for the patient clubs, like, for that other states could benefit from that help, if it does help your state, because the most important part is the patient.
yep, they bring all the revenue. So what folks can do is organize medical patients and their family and their community, right? And
Mhm.
do what we
Mhm.
call joint purchasing. Go to the dispensaries together. Let them know that you're coming
Mhm.
to purchase in a block, right? Because they say the more you buy, the bigger discount you get. That's the narrative they put out there, right? So if you approach them
Right.
as a collective, like a human rights collective, a courage and cannabis collective, a medical patient collective, they will see what we call your spending power. They will respect your
Mhm.
spending power because now you have the ability with 20, 30, 40 patients to take that monthly revenue that you could be spending with them to somebody else who's offering you a better deal on the medical cannabis. And,
Right. That
and so
that makes a lot of sense.
we got an organizing platform coming out for a medical patient social club nationally pretty soon.
Yes, that's great. We'd love to hear more information about that. What do you hope for Courage and Cannabis for book 3? What do you hope to see for
Oh, you know, this one was the triumphant stories, right? These are triumphant stories, right? You know, like more
right?
success, right? You know, like success continue. What does it look like? Where are folks now, right? From one, two to three. Where are they doing out in the industry, right? How have they grown in the industry, right? What has happened since this, right? I'm hoping to see more of that. How's the industry changed? How some of the folks in the book influenced the change in the industry? Just different things around that.
That I better not say anything, Dr. Bridget's going to call me the disruptor. But I think I have some ideas with that. Well, Will you be an author, or are you considering being an author in the next book?
Most definitely, I'm going to contribute way more. I'm thinking of doing a chapter for the next one. Definitely thinking of contributing to a chapter in the next one.
That's amazing. I think you'd bring a lot to the
Ah, the
table for our
disruptor.
readers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I did say that out loud, but yeah, you just kind of threw. I'll have to blame it on you. But yeah, I think that that's definitely it. It does make sense because we do have a lot of authors. Book one, 18, and 39 in book two. So that is interesting. What are they doing? How are things progressing, or what didn't work? Because we do have
Yep.
a diversity of stories. Oh, that's awesome. So let's see. What do you imagine you would be doing in cannabis? What do you imagine doing if you wouldn't be in cannabis right now? What type of career would you have been doing?
What I'm still doing, I'm doing, well, like I said, I don't cheat on cannabis, right? But I do have a real daytime job, right? I'm continuing developing housing, affordable housing, low income housing, creating a home ownership program, fighting for tenant rights,
Mhm.
veteran rights as it pertains to housing and land, and doing my human rights work as it pertains to human rights across this spectrum, whether it's education, healthcare, housing, or gender
Mhm.
rights,
Mhm.
or age rights, or land rights. We're still fighting for human rights across the spectrum.
Right.
So that's the day
Thank you.
job. I tell people I do have a day job.
Oh, we have a comment on here. I told you you would never leave housing advocacy.
So for the world to know, I want to say this again. I am trying hard not to leave, but to take time off from some housing advocacy. I know there's a housing crisis. There's a cannabis crisis. I just want to be able to fully commit at some point, 6 months to a year, fully on cannabis, as I did housing 21 years. Just one full year. And so I'm building out some leadership, but I do want to take a break from housing and development for a year. That is a plan of mine.
Mhm. Okay, I do
I
have,
hear
let's see.
never again.
Never.
I believe Dr.
I do
B.
have a
So
question.
Dr. B is like cursing me with not being able to retire from housing or take a break from housing, right? She is like adamant
That's
of housing. I
right.
don't know who's pulling her string. You know, I know the White House mandates that I do a lot of stuff, and I do on the federal level. I do a lot of work on the federal level with housing. Right, I'm not abandoning the world of housing and human rights for cannabis. I'm just saying I want to commit more time to it. And I'm going to
Mm.
find a way.
Thank you for all you do, JR. I have a
Appreciate
question.
it.
What do you think your health story would be like without cannabis?
Whew, wow. Wow. Well, I believe because of the painkillers and the amount of pain. I
Mhm.
remember after playing football back all of them years, I was active for 20 plus years, protesting from every major movement, from housing, the
Mhm.
anti-Olympic movement, the anti-war movement, the Occupy movement, the Occupy Our Homes movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, the police and justice, the criminal justice reform movement. Protest, protest, test. Walk, walk, walk. March, march, march. Stay on your leg. Door to door canvassing. A lot of wear and tear on the bone. I think probably be in bad medical shape right now, given the usage of opioids, tramadol, Norcos, ibuprofen, just the intake. I think my body would be bad right now. Probably liver failure, kidney failure, the path that I was on.
Right.
Definitely an addiction to painkillers. I mean, yeah, I had addiction to painkillers.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be a good path right now if it
Uh,
wasn't for cannabis.
what I also wanted to ask you, what's your favorite cannabinoid? Do you have a favorite?
Ooh. No, so it depends on the mood. So no, I don't. Right? Sometimes I need something to have me energetic, right? And then I
Mhm.
need
Mhm.
something to have me relaxed, right? So it's a mix. I would tell people hybrids. It depends, right? Sometimes I like something that's physical, right? And sometimes I like things that are stimulating just for the mind, right? Body heavy sometimes, mind heavy, giggly. So it depends on the mood, right? If I'm going into a meeting with
Mhm.
politicians, right? It's definitely something that's gonna have me giggling, right? Can't take these guys serious,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
definitely.
So I have my strands for my moment, and that's actually how I choose them, based off what I'm doing, who I'm engaging, and what I'm engaging in.
Hmm. Perfect. Well, as we wrap up, what message or takeaway do you hope readers will gain from Courage and Cannabis?
So cliche. What I'm about to say, I would hope that they are inspired to tell their triumphant stories, to participate in this market, right? But more than anything, to have courage when it comes to cannabis as a user or as an advocate. Don't be afraid to interject into conversation where cannabis is being looked at in a detrimental way. You know, have the courage to defend it, right? You know, we're not in
Hmm.
the days of reefer madness no more, right? We're not in the days,
That's
oh,
right.
this is the gateway drug, right? We're not in the era, oh, this is going to tear down the community, right? So let's defend that. Let's defend the stories of those who had courage in cannabis, to share them stories of what cannabis meant to them, as owners, as patients, as social equity folks, as advocates, as doctors, professionals, pharmacists. Let's have the courage in cannabis to have that conversation and remove the negative stigma on cannabis.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. We end that stigma. Well, JR, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us today. Before we go, where can our listeners find out more about you and connect with you online?
Social media, I am Jr. Fleming on Instagram. Check out our SciCan Facebook page, Willie Jr. Fleming on Facebook, social media. For housing work, Chicago Anti Eviction. I'm on Facebook and social media, Twitter, and all of them sites.
Nice. Thank you. Wonderful. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Courage and Cannabis, the author series, the author stories. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And stay tuned for more captivating conversations with authors sharing their courage in cannabis. To learn more about Courage and Cannabis, go to courageandcannabis.com and you can purchase the books on Amazon. Until next time, happy reading. Thank you, JR.
Bye.